Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 520 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you're with me today, and every time, actually. It means a lot, regardless of whether you're listening while you're on the treadmill like Madeline, or walking like Cassandra, or stair climbing like Molly, or maybe you're in a car like Eric or Mike. Whatever we're doing together, I'm super happy about it. Okay, so I love this topic, the title, Stop Explaining Yourself, because it says a lot, but for some of us, that's easier said than done. Now, I've done episodes on similar topics before, and I'm talking about it again because it's something that I still am learning to do. I'm around a lot of people in my life that I'm very close to that have no problem whatsoever saying no without elaborating. And when I see someone do that, I am now in awe. Like, I'm impressed by it. My husband Eric is a perfect example of this. We go on a trip every year with some of our very best friends. And this year, somehow, we got the days off by one day. I don't know how that happened. So we're flying home one day earlier than everyone else. And I don't like it when that happens. It's actually, nobody likes it when it happens. It's happened before, and it felt sad for us to leave. Not only for us, but for everybody else too. Anyway, we're on a group text with everyone on that trip, and one of our friends says, "Hey, Eric and Heidi, can you change your flight so you can leave with everyone?" And Eric and I had already had this discussion at length, and he had been checking and trying to figure things out and trying to work it out, even before they asked. And it just wasn't working, like, for a couple reasons. One being Eric's work. Two being the ticket price at that point was double. To change it now would be ridiculous, especially for just one day. So when Eric texts the group back, he simply said, "No, that's not going to work for us." Now, to me, when I saw that text come through, I thought, oh my goodness, Eric, like, why don't you just explain why it doesn't work, so that they know why, and they know that we were trying, and that, I would have been tripping over myself to explain why. And it just never even occurred to him to explain himself. His no was explanation enough. And that is standard for him. He never feels the need to explain, and he's very thoughtful and kind. It's not that. It's just that he doesn't feel like he needs someone else's permission to do what he thinks he needs to do. Now, I have to admit, sometimes it makes me uncomfortable because that just doesn't come easy for me. I worried that someone may have thought he was being short. Let me also add, again, he's extremely thoughtful. He just doesn't need permission from anyone else to make the decisions he feels is right for him and me. And I respect that a lot. As it turns out, no one that I know of felt like he was being short. They just accepted that it wasn't going to work for us, and they didn't know why, but they were okay with that. Nobody cared. I read this week that every time you feel the need to justify your choices, your dreams, or why you said no, you're sending yourself a message that you need permission to live your life, and you don't. Constantly explaining yourself doesn't make people understand you better. It just drains you, and it keeps you stuck in a loop of overthinking. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth or your decisions, and the people who truly care about you, they don't need an explanation. I think it's important, though, to hear someone say it's okay to live life on your own terms. Well, at least it's important for those of us that feel like we should always be accommodating. I am one of those people. But, therapists say it and life coaches say it, but a majority of people never experience a therapist or a life coach. And so sometimes they never hear anyone say, you know what, it's just okay to live life on your terms. And so I want to say that for all of us. Growing up, a lot of us were told to do what mommy and daddy expected so that they approve of you. And that then extended to teachers and religious leaders and others. And that's certainly how I was raised. I was not encouraged to think for myself, quite the opposite. So when I hear it's okay to live life on your own terms, it feels extremely comforting and gives me a huge sense of relief just hearing that phrase. Now, I'm getting better and better at doing that, and I have to say it's so much easier to live that way because I'm no longer twisting myself into a pretzel to explain why I made this decision, and then worry that I've hurt someone's feelings or put someone out. You have, and I have, just as much right to take up space as anyone else. Never forget that. It's exhausting when you do. It's exhausting when you forget that, but it's also exhausting living according to someone else's plan for you. The quote that I read at the beginning of this episode ended with this. It said, "Save your energy. Stand firm in what feels right for you. You're not here to live a life that makes sense to everyone else. You're here to live one that feels good in your heart. The moment you stop explaining, you take back your power. And trust me, you feel lighter the second that you do." I wholeheartedly agree. Just hearing that makes me feel lighter. My challenge to you today is to practice saying no without an explanation. I mean, you can do it in a loving, thoughtful way. So maybe you say, "I'm not available, but thank you for the invite." Or, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to have to pass." Or come up with your own way to show yourself you don't need anyone else's permission to live life on your own terms. Share this with 3 people who deserve to live life on their terms. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.